You got one life, for crying out loud. You might as well just give it all you got.
The Deej, Dan Jordan.
Your daily dose of reality. Your daily dose of the Deej.
I can't believe I'm saying this, but I need my daily dose of the Deej.
I make the news. I don't watch the news. I'm a leader.
The Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Listen, don't worry how to sell, baby. Worry about why people buy. And it's fun.
You don't need a 5-hour energy. All you need is the Sales Energizer.
Just when I think it's not going to be as fun as the one before, each one gets successfully better. What's the word I'm looking for? What's it going to take to get you into this car today, huh?
And now, please welcome the Sales Energizer, Dan Jordan.
Boom! That's exactly it.
Do that. Let's do that.
Let's do that.
My man.
It's Wednesday. It's time to get energized, ladies and gentlemen.
You know what I didn't see that I just realized right now? Like on the bottom of your little intro, it says unbedigeable. And, we use that like it's a real word now.
Oh, it is. And I've talked to our friends at Webster's,
right.
Merriam, whatever the other companies are. We're working it in thesaurus as well. So we got to cover all the bases.
It has that song. What's that song? That Robert Plant or Palmer? You're unbedigeable.
Oh, there you go. How about this song? What about this one?
If your sales team sucks and you don't know what to do, call Deej 678-910-9912. Call Deej 678-910-9912.
If your sales team sucks and you don't know what to do,
call Deej 678-910-9912. I love it. You know what? I like that you throw that in without even me expecting it. Hey, we got a new sponsor.
Oh, that's not our sponsor? We have a real sponsor?
No, we got a new sponsor.
Wow.
No, I will do it. I am letting people know that I'm putting together just a one-on-one coaching program now that's for a sales program that's killer, but only for very select people. And by select people, I mean people that have ferocious ambition, that their ambition is greater than their fears. Like that's the type of thing. I need people, greatest quote ever. It's better to be a warrior in a garden than a gardener in a war. I mean, I need people that are ferociously ambitious, because those are the only people that actually do this, are willing to run through the fire to get things done. Unless you have great information and great data about your customer. Now, we have a guest today that's going to talk about that, but I want to talk about our sponsor for a second, Interaction. You see how fancy they are? INTHR Action.
I see what they did there.
You see what they did there? Yeah. So here's the challenge. You hire a bunch of people and you think that they're good, and then you never quite know. At the end of the day, all your performance reviews are on one person, the manager. Everybody gives you you fill out a report, but at the end of the day, it's one person making decisions, and for their own personal reasons. Interaction has fixed that whole thing. It gets all the information from all your coworkers, which is the only thing you really think about. And so instead of one person making a decision, you have input of thousands and hundreds of people at all time, and all done with AI. It actually is truly unbedigeable.
Wow. I think you do that for a living, Mr. Pitchman. Right. That was beautifully done. Yeah, and I do like how simple it is, and the way people right now is like, if you could do something really simply on your app, and including giving some feedback to your HR departments.
Yeah, it's like no work.
It's like, yeah. Absolutely.
Tons of info with no work. We can go into it afterwards, but we actually do have a guest here today.
The guest.
Yeah, the guest. And not just a guest that is pro sales and pro growing your business, but someone who's actually gone through the fire to build a platform to make it easier for everybody. So I am pumped for my new best friend, Jamie Shanks. Come on down.
Thank you, guys.
Yeah. I love how it seems like every new guest is adding something new to the arms in the air thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That is awesome.
That's jingle, by the way. That sales sucks jingle. Hilarious. I realize I have a backdrop sucks. I look at what you guys have. You got Miles Davis on one, and you got paneling on another. I need to paint the walls or something.
Well, here's the thing. Great segue, because all the salespeople out there, and by the way, join in wherever you're coming from on Amazon, on YouTube, or Chris Stone always wants us to deliver on the fallopian tubes too. He does all any tubes out there. It's a great point for all you salespeople out there. You're $15 away from getting your own paneling on your back wall too. I mean, nobody needs to know anything. It's like if it's that easy to improve your backdrop, if it's that easy to impress other people, it's lazy not to do it. So I'm not calling you lazy.
No, because I just need some paint. This is an outdoor office.
Yeah. Oh,
I'm
it's awesome.
standing on a treadmill desk that's not on right now. So yeah.
Oh, look at that. Hey. Well, we appreciate that. But that's how quickly, in the world of sales right now, and hopefully you can speak to this too. We're doing a lot more online. And so there's a lot more presentations online. You're spending a lot more time on your computer. Might as well use it wisely. So what's going on? You actually are, we always love salespeople, and we always love people to get started. How did you get wrangled into this line of work?
I didn't want to become a salesperson. In fact, I wanted to become a stockbroker, only to realize that a stockbroker is a salesperson. So really quick history lesson. I volunteered at a stock exchange and at a stock brokerage all through high school and university, and eventually became a broker. And then the dot-com bubble of 2000 and 2001 happened, disenfranchised me with that industry. I moved to Australia, lived there for a couple of years, did my master's degree. And when I came back, the only company, I did a year worth of interviews. No one would hire me because I had no sales experience. And I got a job in a 100% commission role in commercial real estate. So cold calling presidents and CFOs all day long, booking meetings to try to talk about office leasing. And that was my introduction to sales. So I kind of fell into it only to discover that while my colleagues, they loved the art of the real estate deal, but they hated the acquisition of the customer themselves. They hated the cold calling. I loved it. I actually tried to forge relationships in my branch in which I would say to a teammate, you do the deal. I'll get us the meetings. They didn't have a model like that. This is almost 20 years ago. But that is my introduction to sales. And I discovered that I love the net new side of business development.
That is just, I thought he was going to say forge checks, but he went to forge relationships, which was very, yeah, that's right. But no, see, now let me get into it, because it's two sides of sales. There's sales and actual selling techniques and all that. But then what you're talking about is real prospecting. There's different technology with prospecting, and that's the stuff that people don't like to do. So you make your living doing the stuff that other people don't want to do.
Correct. And so prospecting when I started was a phone book, a pen, and a phone. And it was going through a list. And I literally would do building walks. So you would walk a building, you would map all the tenants that were in a building, then you would call those people. There was barely a CRM at that time. And then I was, I then became eventually recruited as a vice president of sales at a SaaS software company. It was my introduction to things like Salesforce and buying intent software. We were early pioneers of tracking, using Leadlander, who was on our website. And we were calling investment banks and private equity firms. That was who we sold to. We sold the data room on who was on our website. And fast forward into the social selling evolution or revolution. I was the guy that pioneered the word and pioneered the topic and saw the power of LinkedIn as its ability to not only provide me the left side of the brain, so the research side, but it gave me engagement as well. I could communicate for free with a chief revenue officer in this platform. And then now what we're doing, Pipeline Signals, our job is to monitor every account in the world that matters to our customers and mine it for relationship signals. So the ultimate priority of how a change happens in a business is when somebody leaves your customers and goes into a prospect, or somebody gets promoted or takes a new job. All of those compelling events at global scale are so meaningful to sales. And so we feed that to our sellers directly into our customer CRMs. And so that's where it's all evolved, from pen and paper all the way to giving the answers to tests. Yeah.
Okay, so you're just feeding information on their changes in their careers, and then you're integrating with the different which different platforms do you integrate with in terms of CRM? Obviously Salesforce. What else?
No, yeah. So it can be done with any CRM because it's a data uploader process. And so our customers have everything from Pegasystems to Salesforce to HubSpot, and it allows those sellers to receive a task, push notified task, directly in their CRM, so which the seller no longer has to spend that valuable time doing what I'll call $5 an hour tasks, trying to collect information to make informed decisions. We're helping them make the decision on how they're going to engage those people because the compelling event has already happened. And we're feeding them those answers.
This is my head has officially exploded. How have I not heard about this before? Okay, so now here's the main question. So does when that compelling event happens, does the end user have to already have a connection with that event?
No, not
with that person.
And it's really important. Prospecting is a left and a right brain motion. On the left side of our brain is about collecting intelligence to make informed, objective decisions. On the right side of our brain is, what are we going to say? What is our engagement strategy? What we're doing is capturing the left side of the brain, mutually exclusive of the right side. So we're giving you the compelling event to say, John Smith left your customer, they worked there, and now they're at your prospect. You should call them. But
okay, so I already know John Smith.
You don't have to know John Smith. John Smith could have been part of the job functions or buying committee that you naturally sell into. Let's say you sell to marketers.
Okay.
A marketing leader leaves one of your customers. They might not be in your CRM as the person of contact that you dealt with every day.
Right.
But they were part of the sphere of influence or buying committee of the company who used your solution or was around your solution at that company. They up and they leave, they go to a new company. The important part here is that the seller can choose the medium of communication that they best feel. That could be LinkedIn, email, smoke signals, phone call, whatever they need to communicate with the new prospect.
And you're mining these relationships mostly through LinkedIn, or are there other means?
We're mining it out of the public domain, so out of the public web, but the intelligence is rooted on the self-user generated information that's coming from LinkedIn.
Got it.
Yeah. And that's the most timely because, if you think about it, somebody on March, we're filming this in early April. In end of March, somebody leaves a job and they started on April 1. First day on the job or over the weekend in preparation, they changed their LinkedIn profile. We're capturing that information and giving it to our seller at the point of need in their CRM.
And you're shooting it out to, for your company, Pipeline Signals, you're shooting it out to all your customers that deal with that type of, in that sphere.
As long as that account meets the ideal customer profile of our customers. So our customers in advance during onboarding will say, here's my 1,000 customers. Here's my 1,000 prospective named accounts. And for some customers, they'll say, this is my white space. I'm going after this vertical or geography. I don't even know all the accounts that are possible, but I sell to these type of buyers. Well, it's a game of mix and match. Okay, somebody left this account, went to that account. Who finds that of value and of need and present it to them and route the signal to the right rep who owns that account.
That.
So I'm curious how you would track sort of success rate for customers and for clients. Yeah, I mean, I know you probably have like case studies and whatnot on your, but overall, how are you tracking sort of the success rate for all of this
So
stuff?
think of it as leading, lagging, and leading, current, lagging indicators, as you can imagine. So as you first become a customer of Pipeline Signals, this is about change of behavior. So are we getting the utility? Are sellers picking up these signals and doing something with them? Which accounts have the most of your past customers in them? Which accounts have the most competitive intelligence? Because we're not only just monitoring opportunities, we're monitoring risk. So anybody that left a competitor that went in one of these accounts or has skills and certifications with a competitor, we're tracking that as well. So think of it as usage and utility as use case one. Naturally, what's going to happen as engagement begins, you're going to see case study stories such as we're increasing the conversion of our email to live conversation rate because now we're talking to our past customers. Or as an example, our database is growing. What we're finding is 85 to 90% of every signal that we're sending is net new to our customer CRM because these people are brand new.
Wow.
So we're not single threaded anymore. We're becoming multi-threaded. And this will all lead to more at-bats. More at-bats ultimately lead to two things: an increased volume of sales opportunities. But ideally, long-term, we believe, because I did this for 10 years as a training company in Sales for Life, that will increase the convertibility because we're now talking to warmer prospects because they were past customers.
Yeah, you're getting more at bats and more pitches, but you're slowing the pitches down. These are higher quality at the same time.
Have been around your solution and they have brand recognition or brand salience with their past engagement.
Yes, that is dynamite. So how does so you have two companies, right? You have the sales training companies, and obviously I see the obvious synergy between the two. Do you, for people who come on with a training program with you, and you still do that, do you require that they purchase this?
We actually give it as part of, think of it as reinforcement of the training. So if you become a Sales for Life customer on the learning side, post-certification, we now think of it as we were teaching you how to fish. Now we're also going to take the fishing rod from you and fish on your behalf alongside you. So with Sales for Life, what we're going to do is provide Pipeline Signals as part of that engagement. But Pipeline Signals also is very much standalone. There are a vastly greater number of companies in the world that would rather you just do the work on their behalf. And so Pipeline Signals is routed in those teams that are already established business development teams and customer success teams who just need greater sales intelligence to make objective decisions on the most fundamental piece: account selection and account prioritization.
Yes, and at a time that they are most open to the idea of change. They're making a big change. It's like you're having people in the real estate world. It always happens at the same time. You have a baby, you get a new house, you get a minivan. And you get a minivan. It all happens at the same time. And so those kind of changes in life. So when someone's getting a new job, now they're looking for, obviously they want to make a splash. They want to bring in their own vendors. They want to hire some more people. That action is taking place. They're open to conversations.
Well, there is an unverified. So this is a statistic not created by, say, a Gartner. So when I call it unverified, but I use it as I think subjectively our customers understand this. It is touted that in the first 100 days on the job of a new key stakeholder, that key stakeholder will either physically deploy, so they'll take their budget and have deployed it, or they'll have mentally figured out where they're going to deploy up to 70% of the remitted budget for the year. Why? You get into a new business, you figure out where the washrooms are, you figure out who your teammates are, you plan your next quarterly rocks, and all of a sudden, within that 100 days, they didn't hire you to sit on your thumbs. They hired you to deploy capital and resources to grow the business. So These people are the most malleable to new ideas, but they also bring with them, past experience, people, process, technology. They mount like a horse and they bring it forward. And that's why, and our customers see this all the time. They'll see a VP go into a company, and within 90 days, the directors and the managers that reported to that person all port over, because there's that saying, you don't leave your job, you leave your manager. But you also leave with your managers that you really loved. So that manager goes into a new business, and so does the resources.
That's great. Hey, I just want to backtrack for a second for the people who are watching, because a lot of times you say something that they don't understand, they never hear the rest of what you were saying, and you have something so important. So explain when you said, your rocks. Go ahead and explain what you mean by those rocks.
Yeah, so there's a concept by Franklin Covey, and the Franklin Covey rocks. It also blends into, for any of your listeners that are entrepreneurs, there's a program called EOS, Entrepreneurs Operating System, that uses a similar model. And the concept is this, and I'm a huge EOS follower and a rock follower. The concept is so many entrepreneurs and or sellers will get caught up in the fact that you have 1,000 things to do this week, this month, this quarter. And you struggle prioritizing what really will move the needle for your business. And as a seller, you are an intrapreneur. You own a business within a business, so to speak. So what a rock is defining where do you need to move a giant, important object forward within 90 days. And there can only be a few of these every quarter. And if you achieve moving a movable object, then of course you will look back 90 days later and realize you really did have forward momentum. The little tiny things that you do every day, many times don't add up to much. But if you can manage to move these 2, 3, 4, 5 things forward in 90 days, you'll made immense progress. And so my rocks in my company, I have between 3 to 7 every quarter, and our whole company is aligned to focusing only on these 3 to 7 things. And anything that is not on that list is not a priority. So that's what a rock is.
Very good. Yeah. And it's a great way to run your business. It's a great way to run your life. It's a good thing to have family rocks that you're taking care of, which is very exciting. So, Jamie, first of all, let me ask you something. This is just a personal thing. I can't figure it out because there's only a few guys named Jamie. Is Jamie your real name, or is it like shortened from James or Jameson, and people just go to Jamie?
I'm a James. My birth certificate says James, and the only time that I was called James, it was led by a spank or a spoon in the back of the head.
Okay, good.
But I was called Jamie from day one.
Yes. Okay, good. So it was I always wondered about the Jamie things. So, and now here, were you pressured with this when you were starting your career? Because when you were starting to change it back to James?
Unbelievable. And I think that this, and I don't know if this is a generational thing. I've only been asked this question a couple times, and it's only those that are, we'll call us seasoned. Yeah. Is that when I started at the bank, they tried to force me to change my name to James. I thought this is the silliest thing I'd ever heard. Right. But, I'm born in 1978. So, my peers were born in the 60s or 50s, and they thought it was crazy that I was calling myself Jamie working on the stock exchange. It thought it was crazy that they wanted me to rename myself.
That's right. Well, you're a stronger man than I, because I was Danny forever, and then they wanted me to call me Dan or Daniel.
Daniel.
Daniel. What the heck is a Dan? So I just did the initials. I just said DJ. It's so much easier. So I did that thing. All right. So you're doing this. You're growing your business. Your sales training program. Did Pipeline Signals come out of a need? Or was this just a concept in the back of your head forever?
So Sales for Life has certified 600 global customers and 250,000 sellers over a 10-year horizon. And Here's the genesis. So imagine you're teaching sellers to do the very act that Pipeline Signals does, but there's a problem. Here's the rooted problem. You have a seller in Philadelphia and you have a seller in Seattle. Seller in Philadelphia notices that a key CXO leaves their customer base, or his or her customer base or total addressable market, and is gone. They don't care where that person went because they're myopically focused on their 50 accounts. Well, it happens that would have been a great lead for the teammate in Seattle. That teammate in Seattle didn't come to work that day, didn't open up LinkedIn, didn't notice the alert. Mm-hmm. So now at scale, there's massive kinks in the armor. And so long of the short was we were training this all the time, and sellers were focused in on only their accounts. And what you were capturing were bits and bobs, if I'm in revenue operations, of what's really happening at a global scale in our account base. So the support tickets would roll in and sellers would say, can you just do this for me? Then I had RevOps and CROs actually say, I'll pay you to develop cybersecurity monitoring, but for sales, like monitor our accounts. Yeah. And just when you hear this over and over again, you hear the need. So the idea, the genesis of the idea came from watching seller after seller be great at monitoring their own market or TAM or group of accounts, but it did nothing at a global scale to cross-reference what's happening.
And it's that easy because it's all available now. You just needed somebody to put it together. So you
be able to correlate it and turn it into prescriptive sales intelligence. Right now, it's just raw data that sits in LinkedIn, but it's not prescriptive in helping you make an informed decision.
And the fact that you shoot it right out into their CRM and it gives them not only an alert, but actually creates a task for them.
That's one of the key ingredients, is because if you think about it from a seller's perspective, if I had created yet another platform to log into,
right,
I have 0 customers.
0.
Right? So a seller wants to log into their email, their CRM, maybe their Slack channel, maybe LinkedIn every day. But those are the tools of record. And if you are not one of those platform tools of record, don't even bother. So I needed to be able to present in a push notify. That means that the seller doesn't need to do any work. We're middleware. We're invisible plumbing that just magically shows up for the seller. That's the only way that you'll change behavior for the seller. It's got to arrive on their lap.
I love the invisible plumbing, and it's pipeline sig. I mean, there's just this is gold. So, I mean, obviously you've built this platform, right? And I'm sure there's a lot that goes into it, and algorithms and everything. How much analytics are you doing? How many humans here are involved in this thing? Because I would imagine like a lot of companies are like, is this just some robot thing that you're plugging it in with AI and all of this stuff?
Yeah, this is a gradual movement towards SaaS software. So it's begun as a managed service, and you have teammates on the ground who are doing all the computations and correlations, and slowly it moves its way to pure SaaS. From the customer's perspective, it appears as SaaS because all they see is their Salesforce instance, tasks coming in automatically. In our world, it's called the mechanical Turk. Behind the scenes, the mechanical Turk is happening to make it so that the customer experience appears as SaaS.
Mechanical Turk.
Yeah. All right. Let me backtrack a little bit, Jamie, because you are very intriguing to me. You're obviously a very well accomplished speaker. You can explain yourself exceptionally well without using a lot of ums, ands, or ers. You tend to have one direction and you actually reach the conclusion, which is a wonderful skill.
Just talk a lot.
Yes. So the show was named How to Get on Stage. And one of the things I tell people, prospective speakers who want to get on stage and start working, you first have to be an expert at something. You have to know something. You have to be desired. People want to have to learn from you. So you obviously have that. But how did you capitalize that to get on stage? Have you done a lot of speaking in that respect? And
I'll be open and honest how it all
help
started.
Those others. Yes.
So pre-COVID, just to give context of the end result, pre-COVID, I would speak at anywhere between 20 to 40 sales kickoffs, quarterly business reviews, or conferences a year. That revenue line item for me was between $250,000 to $500,000 a year inside Sales for Life as a portion of revenue to the total company. So that meant that, of course, I did a lot of it. My average speaking fee was between 20 and 30,000 USD, depending if I was in North America, EMEA, or APEC. 80 flights a year for 5 years. So that's the end result. To get there, my first speaking gig, so COVID starts March of 2020 here in North America. 5 years before that, I'd spoken on stage once or twice for free. And so ultimately, my first change, like my first habit, I actually joined, what do you call those, Toastmasters. I did a Toastmaster podium edition, and it was practicing the art of speaking on stage. It was actually in preparation for my sister's wedding, as I was going to be the MC. And then, to your point, I have created a very niche topic within sales. I believe that generalist, in my world, generalist sellers. Yeah, there was 3,000 people in the audience for that at Grant Cardone's first 10X.
I've heard of him.
Yeah. I think that you have to have a topic that is very unique and a very unique point of view. Generalists aren't the ones gathering big speaking fees and being asked to speak all the time. Because if you look at a speaking docket, you're going to have the keynote, and then you're going to have breakout rooms. And those breakout rooms are filled with very niche topics. And it all began where I started speaking for free. And then I collected $1,000 or $2,000 speaking engagement. And it all built from there, to which, I got into a snack bracket that companies primarily for their sales kickoffs would pay $15,000 to $50,000 for speakers. And you just get lumped into a bucket, and you build out a profile for speaking bureau, and so forth. Yeah.
Snack bracket. That's what people want to be, in a snack bracket between 15 and 50. I mean, that's good living right there.
I mean, there were many pre-COVID. It's unfortunate, but there were many in my industry, in the sales training space, that the vast majority of their revenue, this made up 10% of our revenue. Unfortunately, there were many where live delivery and live training was a huge portion of their revenue. Yeah. It absolutely killed them because they lived on speaking.
Yeah. So you did it to build your other business.
Speaking was a means to driving a lead flow into a recurring revenue model or a licensing model, which is Sales for Life or Pipeline Signals.
Okay, so you just said it. I imagine that was your niche. How to build a business that's recurring revenue.
Well, my niche was social selling. It was these and my style was very different than others. So my style was live demo on stage. So people would be in the audience yelling, I sell to John Deere, Harley Davidson, and Walmart. And I would do versions of Pipeline Signals live on stage. I would show them all the job changes. I would show them competitive intelligence. I would show them, I would reverse engineer their customers to show where people migrated to. I would make a video on stage using Video to Go Video. So I was barely in PowerPoint. I actually had a laptop next, on stage at podium control, and I would do demos live on stage. And there were very few that did that. And that was also a unique part of my speaking engagements.
Yes, that's great. It's true. And Chris knows this too, but in my presentations, I do live cold calls on stage.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's the weirdest thing.
I'm actually building live searches in front of 3,000 people on a stage.
Yeah, that's what it's funny when you're doing demos like that they're involved with. You can be in a room of 1,000 people. It's hushed silence. They're so engaged with what's going on. Yeah. Very cool. And so that is your pipe. So tell me about your business now. Is it do you have a sales team for your business, or is it still? Well, I'm talking about pipeline signals now. How are you getting new business now?
Pipeline signals. We just raised our pre-seed round $500,000. I'm the primary seller in this startup, but we're investing that capital in customer success, engineering, and product. So what we're doing is building up the client roster. The sales process is run through me because I've been doing this forever. As we build up the recurring revenue, it's a monthly recurring revenue model. As we build that up and we're raising another round of capital, I'll build the pre-sales team. But right now we're focused on customer experience right now.
Customer experience and gathering more customers and clientele and doing things like this, speaking virtually now is how you're doing it.
Exactly. Getting the word out.
Okay. This is very cool. So let's say who is a perfect client for you? What is your avatar that you're looking for right now? These fancy words we're throwing out now, guys.
Yeah, we're discovering it can be vertical agnostic. So it doesn't mean that you're in a certain industry. You're primarily in complex business to business. So that means that you in the audience, your cost of customer acquisition is high, or the opportunity cost of losing a customer. So the importance of net retention revenue or gross retention revenue is really important to you. So the intelligence that we're giving to you has to be of great value. That's part one. Part two is you have a total addressable market of hundreds or thousands of accounts, meaning that there is just no way that your sales team is capturing all this intelligence at scale. So you have a real problem at a rev ops or sales ops level that you feel that you're missing all of these opportunities. The average CRM is depleting at 3% a month. So you have just comings and goings out of your account base all the time.
Explain that. Your average CRM is depleting because people are
average B2B company who might have 1,000 companies, a couple thousand accounts inside their CRM, either as prospects and or customers. The average North American right now is not even keeping their job for 2 years in white collar America in business to business. So that means that statistically, that if you've got 5 or 7 key contacts for every account in your CRM, 3% of that is leaving an account or somebody net new is joining. And so the original records that you had from 2 years ago I'm drinking out of a Yeti right now, all the key stakeholders that you have in your CRM that you think are the key stakeholders at Yeti, within 2 years, most of those people will churn out. And so it's just this constant requirement of enriching the database.
You're brilliant. I'm telling you, you're a smart dude. All right. So how come we don't rate with a demonstration? Why can't you if we share the screen, can you go ahead and do a demo right now? I know you're not prepared.
Probably could. Okay, let's actually.
Is he able to do that? Okay.
Yeah, you go down to the bottom there and hit the share screen.
So the challenge is the data that I could. The only way to visualize the data on the front end is I could show you an example on LinkedIn. But let's actually do this. Do you have a list?
Because I have a company that's looking for 8 directors of HR. Like that's like the.
Right now.
Oh, okay.
So I'll share my screen. Okay. Share.
See, this is what happens. I told you you're not. This is going to be an unusual interview.
Upload file. Am I? No, that's.
Yeah, you want to share screen and then choose like if your browser or a particular desktop, one of your screens.
Sharing screen. Okay.
All right.
So am I sharing LinkedIn right now?
Yes.
You are.
Let's make this real. Let's use real companies. Okay. So first thing is let's reverse engineer your past experiences, your past customer base. So who are successful customers of yours that you want to monitor?
Larger type companies?
We'll just use this for demo purposes.
Okay. Do local stuff here in Atlanta, Home Depot.
And let's make them easy to spell. I am Canadian, so.
All right. Cox, COX. And let's do another one. Rollins, ROLLINS.
That trucking?
No, actually, it's the pest control. Do Orkin. How about that? Orkin Pest Control.
ORKIN.
Yes.
ORKIN.
You might be Canadian, but I'm terribly dyslexic. So,
so as an example, so as this is populating, and my kids are inside playing Fortnite right now, so don't mind my internet. So there are 210,000 people that no longer work at Home Depot, Cox, and Orkin that had worked there in the past. Now let's narrow down that focus. As you mentioned, you had an importance to focus on human resources. And as well, you want to know people that not only leave, but they go into a net new company. So years in current position is within a year. And let's focus our time horizon even in the last 90 days, as an example. And of course, we can create derivatives of the HR function. That could be employee engagement, all the way to LMS using, to employee recognition, to CHRO. So what's going to happen is we're going to have people like this. They worked at Home Depot as a human resources manager. They up and they leave and they go to Plexus, okay? Mid-market company in my hometown of Toronto, Canada. And now I want you to picture that you worked Home Depot or Home Depot Canada, and you sent her an email or a LinkedIn message, or you phoned her and said, listen, congratulations on your new role. You're working over at Home Depot. You might notice that we ran the entire time and attendance platform for all of Home Depot across North America. In fact, when you swiped to get into the building, it was our time and attendance software. I noticed that you have a couple offices over at Plexus. What are you using for time and attendance right now? Are you, because you liked it before.
Wow.
And so now your conversation changes. That's the idea. Now at global scale, there are thousands of companies that were your past customer, and there are thousands of companies that are your prospects, and it's correlating all that data.
And you're shooting, and now I don't have to open this. This is Sales Navigator, so I don't have to open this. You're going to find the perfect ones and shoot them right into my.
Yeah, the idea here is they show up as tasks. So here's the mock demo. SpaceX is one of your prospect accounts. So all of a sudden, your seller gets a task and it says, there's a customer that joined a named account. Which past advocate? Well, it's Alex, software engineer at SpaceX, used to work at Washington University, one of your active customers. Now, why don't you go engage them? And now, all of a sudden, as you look at reporting dashboards, you can look all the way from outcomes, which accounts are creating the most opportunities based on this, all the way downstream into leading indicators, such as signal analytics or utilization. I can start looking at which accounts have the most signals, which accounts have the most past customers in those accounts, which sellers are picking up these signals and running with them. You can do all of this because it's in the place, in the center of truth that's meaningful to you.
The center of truth.
The Turk has done the work. I love it.
The work, exactly.
Wow.
I love it. Love it.
And the sales reps that are not picking these things up and not going, these are the people you've got an issue with. Those salespeople.
Yes,
you're giving them leads or giving them pitches, and they're not even going up to the plate.
The way that I look at life, this is the entrepreneur in me, and with sellers, you've got $5 an hour tasks and $500 an hour value creators. When you pay a seller six figures, you're asking them to drive you outcomes, many times 7 times their own cost, 5 to 7 times their own cost. So you need to, I'm paying you $100,000. I need you to make me $500,000 to $700,000+ this year. But every moment that you are diving through the code of job changes and relationship maps, well, that's a $5 an hour task. Why are you doing that when you could be having more customer conversations, more proposals? I need to be paying you to drive outcomes, not to be a data miner. And that's what we're relieving.
All right. So this is, you'll understand this buying sign. So how much does this cost?
This costs a cost per month. It's a month-to-month partnership, no long-term contract, ranges between $2,000 a month and $4,000 a month, depending on The levers are how many accounts in the world do you want us to monitor, and how often do you want the report?
And how well? So, and what is it? So, how often you want the report? You want it? Is it delivered monthly or weekly?
So monthly is the standard cadence. That's where the vast majority of our customers are and or start. But customers that have a tremendous TAM, like thousands and thousands of accounts, they need it at a more frequent rate, and so they've moved to the weekly model. But
so
most
if somebody were to mine this, so for I'm just thinking, 2000. So you're basically spending $24,000 a year on the 2000 on the annual, which is what you would pay a lead generator when you're paying them $5 an hour, 40 hours a week.
You couldn't get somebody in the Philippines, India, or Bangladesh to work for that rate.
Right.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to get it. I got prospects for you. I got three leads for you.
Commission will be in the mail.
Yeah, we'll talk about it on the back end. But that's very exciting. So what you're doing, you're saying the right thing. You're teaching salespeople to use their time wisely. Now, do you still do the other business? You still do the?
Oh, yeah. So I have a team running Sales for Life. Still own it. I'm 50% partner and owner in Sales for Life. My primary focus right now is growing and scaling pipeline signals, as Sales for Life is already in flight. You said something really important. And for me, I look at time management, I think, is the biggest killer of sales people's productivity. And I think I didn't realize it. Maybe what I was inventing with social selling was ways to save time, to find key contacts and engage them. But this is overtly a time management tool, buying back sellers' time, having them not waste it doing data mining.
Yes, that the whole idea, time is your most precious asset. It's the only thing you can't get back. Mm-hmm. And those who learn how to harness it and just to use it for its highest value, everything's an activity. You talk about saving time. How I do it is I have old school calendar. I know when I wake up. I know when I go to sleep.
You're the guy that goes to Staples and buys that. I didn't know.
Wait, clear the cobwebs, blow the dust off that thing next time you bring it on camera, please.
Amazon, but yes, I am that. I tried to go to Staples to get it, but they don't carry it anymore.
Oh, my mother used to carry in the balance the checkbook thing in her purse.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, it's very comfortable. Yeah, I'm a fan of that. But the thing is, on your calendar, you have to realize everything is an activity, and there's money making activities and there's non-money making activities. Correct. Sleeping is an activity; it's just not a money making one unless you create a business like you are, which is that recurring revenue model. And then when you have that, go ahead.
I was going to say that's life lessons. When I started Sales for Life, it wasn't a recurring model. It was time and materials or project by project. And as you grow older, you recognize that you don't want to be net new selling every account, every month, every year. You want a flywheel. Yeah.
Yes. And that's what the software allows you to do. And it's saving time from other people too. I mean, that's a nightmare. If you could they always tell you that in the beginning in your sales world, if you calculate how much time you actually spend in front of a customer, it's 30 minutes a day,
Oh, 100%. I've seen statistics like this and they're all over the map, but it's a very small percentage of a seller's day and week is actually spent engaging the customer. And there's a lot of administrivia that's in their way.
Administrivia? I mean, this guy is.
That gets.
That gets confetti. I mean, there you go. When you do administrivia.
Anytime we get words like that, Jamie, you've got
Canadians have a word for everything.
Yeah, that's right. You Canadians have. Well, this is really wonderful. So, how do people get a hold of you?
Yeah, pipelinesIgnals.com. connect with me on LinkedIn. I think I'm the only Jamie Shanks that looks like this, but connect with me on LinkedIn. Happy to show you exactly how the machine works, and hope that we can save your team a lot of time and create them opportunity.
Yeah, if they just get that and then they use it, you're right. You get people. Well, there must be you say you're industry agnostic. Now I'm thinking of different questions, but now my brain has just turned on how to get you more customers. So you say you're industry agnostic, but that kind of change in life, there's got to be some people that need you more than others.
Yeah,
so is it SaaS companies?
Yes, tech and telecom is where I made my bread and butter with Sales for Life. It's the natural target market that we've started with Pipeline Signals, but already having conversations with professional services firms, manufacturing firms, pharmaceutical firms. Again, they all have complex B2B sales cycles. Their cost of customer acquisition is high, so this intelligence is valuable. They can't afford to lose their customers. They have hundreds or thousands of them, so the data is equally as important to them. And that's why it will naturally move just outside of SaaS and telco.
Yeah, gosh, I got to imagine like employee benefits, at least high profit margin companies, managed services. Oh my gosh,
yeah, service, because you're in the relationship game.
Yeah,
so following the relationships is critical.
That's and it actually pays to get older. I mean, because you're always worried in the IT world, listen, you're kind of losing your stuff. You're losing, you just get less interested in finding out new technology. But here, as you grow older, you're building more and more relationships. Yeah. This is exactly where you want to go. Yeah. Oh, this is great for guys like me. All right, listen, this is awesome, Jamie Shanks. And I always think of Jamie Oliver. Do you cook?
Oh, I barely.
Really?
Those meals in a box, like Hello Fresh.
Oh,
then you assemble the pieces. That's
that's what you do. Yeah.
Cooking. Yeah.
I don't know why people don't like to cook. It's a fun thing to do. You said you have kids. You got 2 kids?
2 kids. Our life is Monday to Thursday here in Toronto in the city. Friday, Saturday, Sunday up at the cottage. Yeah. Cottaging is a sport in Canada.
Cottaging is a sport in Canada. Okay. Yeah. How are things going over there? Health wise, everybody good?
Everybody's great.
Stronger than ever.
The world is unlocking here in Toronto. We probably set a world record for longest lockdowns.
Yeah.
It's nice.
You guys are really exceptionally nice to other people. I mean, there'd be a point I lose patience a lot quicker than the average Canadian. But listen, the world needs more people like you. I think what you're doing is magical, not just for
great stuff,
and very impressive, not just for the average salesperson, but the giving back time is literally giving back life. And after what we've been through, I think that's even more precious and salient in people's minds. You see, I threw out that salient word in there. It doesn't get
that much of a struggle for you to dig up that vocabulary.
4 P's of marketing.
Yeah. That's right. 4 P's of marketing. All right, 4 P's. So this is great. I really appreciate you. I'm going to hook up with you afterwards. Actually, stick around when we're done here for a second. Is Chris Stone not the greatest producer of all time?
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Throws this together.
Your backdrop is world class. Well,
you got the Miles Davis album cover, so you get bonus points.
Yeah,
as if you needed any more points.
I listen to jazz. So really quick, I'm like, I have an outdoor office that the door swings and opens to the lake, and there's a couch in it with a record player, and I listen to jazz in there when I'm working. It's the best. Like between being at the cottage with the lake and the door open and jazz music, it really opens up the senses.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's it.
Jazz drives me crazy. I'm into classical music, but jazz just never gets anywhere. It's a bunch of notes all over the place.
But it can go in the background. Classical's like bum bum bum, like it's too. Yeah.
All right.
It's too orchestrated. Jazz is about hearing the journey. It's about being a part of the journey, especially this guy. The stage was for practicing. That was it. So what you hear was just a take of people talking to each other with their instruments. Beautiful.
Oh. That's all right. You sold me. I guess I'm a jazz fan now. All right. Well, listen, you guys are awesome. Chris Stone, thank you. Jamie wants it. You're the coolest Jamie I know. And all you guys watching, I really appreciate you all. Eat well, live long, and prosper, and go get them today.
Go get them.
You guys still here?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. I guess Chris Stone is probably in the